body image, um, and like my struggles with it. Um, I think I've had body image issues a lot of my life. Um, when I was around 12, I started kind of realizing that like I didn't like my nose. Um, and I always just, like felt like it was like too big and detracted from like my other features, and that my other features would like stand out better if my nose wasn't so big. Um, and when I was in high school, um, I started to like really get down on myself for the way I looked. I was also quite depressed at one point, and I felt like really down on myself for the way that I looked. And my junior year, I started saving up money for like rhinoplasty, um, and I ended up spending that money on a guitar, which I think has served me probably a little bit better. Um, and after that junior year, I started to have like what I think was my first like real encounter with like an eating disorder. I got um, rejected by this girl, well, someone who would later become my ex, but I took it very badly, and I spent an entire summer like starving myself over it, and I got like very, very skinny. I got down to I think 124, um, which for 5'7", which is what I am, like that's really low. Like that's not weighing much. I was like extremely skinny, to the point of like not being able to focus at all. Um, and I would continue to like have struggles with my like weight and my feelings about myself for like years to come. I mean, I would do everything from like um just like throwing up in a bathroom, and you know, just like stuff to try to control my weight. And when I broke up with my ex, same girl, same issue. Um, I coped with it the same way. I like starved myself, and I lost a bunch of weight. And this time it like forced me into like a manic episode, and I like spent the last year and a half recouping from said manic episode. So I guess what I'm doing this video on is like, how do you deal with a negative body image? Um, and I think the best thing I can tell you is that uh, what does it mean to have a healthy perception of self? What it means is that you see value in your own health, regardless of how big or small or anything you are. And I think like what really taught me this is like when I was at my skinniest. Um, yes, it was cool to be skinny and like fit into the slightly tighter jeans. And that has some value. Um, but at the same time, um, I had horrible acne. Everything I ate gave me really bad acne. My skin looked terrible. It looked way worse than it does now. Um, and if you try to force yourself to be something, if you try to force yourself to be skinny, if you try to force yourself to look a certain way, your body will fight you. And you will not feel good. You know, you won't look good, even though you're skinnier. And you know, after being on this roller coaster of like gaining weight, losing weight, gaining weight, losing weight, I started to like look at myself, like really look at myself in the mirror and like notice how um, tired I looked, how like worn out and just completely like out of it. So I think what it means to have a positive body image is really just valuing what you look like when you are taking care of yourself, you know, and it won't look the same for everyone. You know, you might be a little heavier, you might be a little skinnier, but whatever it means to be taking good care of yourself, that's what you should value. You know, you look your best when you are taking good care of yourself. Um, and For me, that was really like it's a hard thing for me to learn. Um, I think even if I broke up with like anybody after my ex, I'm never gonna do to myself what I did before. I mean, maybe I'll exercise more just to like get the endorphins up, but I don't think I'll ever like starve myself the way that I did. Um, and it's important to know that. And as for, you know, not feeling like you're the most beautiful person or not liking your nose or your eyes or your lips or the shape of your head, or how tall you are or any of that stuff. Um, Sometimes it's hard to get outside yourself and see yourself through other people's eyes, but the things that you hate about yourself or the things you ruminate on, most people don't really think of as like a bad feature on you, you know? Like I'm sure I think way more about my nose than anybody else does, you know? Um, and As for like height and stuff like that, I feel like complaining about your height or complaining about like your nose or stuff is so trivial when it's taking for granted all of these amazing things that you have, right? Just having function in all of your limbs and being able to like go outside for a walk is an amazing thing, you know? And you have so much going for you that you take for granted. It's important to remember, you know, every day you can wake up and get out of bed and take care of yourself is a day worth celebrating. Um, Even though I'm still not the hugest fan of my nose, um, some days it still works. You know, a lot of people have like breathing problems, and I've never had breathing problems. Um, I've never had like bad allergies or like stuff like that. Um, I have things to be thankful for when it comes to my nose, you know. If I had a smaller nose, maybe I'd be allergic to 50 different fruits, like my younger brother. I don't know. So you have to learn to count your blessings, you know. Don't stay dwelling on the negatives, because there's just nothing to be gained. Um, and that's just about everything I have to say about that. My experience with weight has mostly been on the side of being, you know, a little chubby but never extremely overweight. Um, I'd imagine that the mentality is slightly different for people who struggle with being overweight, just because losing the weight is itself its own like intense struggle. Um, for me, I've always fluctuated between just kind of being like a little on the chubby side or being way too skinny, and never really being, you know, Mark Twain-ish. Um, but learn to love yourself for what you look like when you're healthy, and that changes for every person. But when you find it, you'll know. and appreciate yourself for who you are, you know? You're amazing. Even if you can't see it all the time. And that's all I have to talk about for today. I think tomorrow I'm going to be out of the state, but when I get back, I plan to talk about my mom and just everything that happened with my mom and all the events that led up to her leaving the family and not talking to us anymore. So I'll talk about that next time. See you guys. Bye.